I'm back in Illustrator, and it's the same file that we were used to do the labels. I'm going to lock all those label layers and make a new layer. And now what we can do is we can indicate some circulation paths and bring those into After Effects. And this is a really interesting connection between Illustrator and After Effects. And so this new layer, I will call this visitor. Let's see. Visitors. Okay, and I'm going to zoom in. So this will be a path for visitors to come into the building from the street and perhaps pick up a drink in the lounge and head to the pool. So what we do is use the pen tool, and I'll just have people coming off the sidewalk. And we come in, and this person heads into the pool with the drink in hand. Okay, so there's a visitor, one visitor path, and maybe we can call this visitor's pool. All right, there's one. That'll be the guest returning. Okay, what I've done in Illustrator is I've just given each of those paths a different color just so we can see them, differentiate them. So what you can do now is just select one of those. I'll start with the guest return path and just copy it, Control-C or Command-C. We'll head back to After Effects and do this layer, new, adjustment layer. All right, and it puts in a new layer in the timeline, and we'll just paste onto that layer. So there's the path. I'll zoom in a little bit here. Oops, not 33, but I'll zoom in here. There we go. And there's the path. Switch to your arrow. Make sure you have the arrow selected. Double click on the path. All right, that selects the whole path. If you don't double click it, it'll only select one segment and move it. And so now we can take that path and move it around and hold down the space bar to pan, and we can put this kind of where we want it to go. Right about there. Right? And that looks like it follows the path that we wanted. And so let's zoom back out. Go back to the arrow, and then we can go to Effect, say Generate Stroke. And what that does is it gives along that path a stroke, kind of like in Illustrator. And in the Effect Controls panel now that opens up, we can change the thickness of it with this brush size, so we'll do that. Let's make it maybe a little bit thicker. How about, somewhere around, 4 would be good. And we can change the color here. And how about something that we can easily see? I don't know if we want something kind of that's fluorescent green. And what it'll do then is keyframe the end of the path. So you see here the start of the path is, it shows, whoops, I shouldn't have done that. The start of the path it shows a little circle there, so I'm going to keyframe the end of it. So at the beginning here where I set my time, we'll put a keyframe there And then let's go ahead and again, maybe 2 seconds to 14 here. And let's insert another keyframe 100 here. So let's just adjust that. Let's go back to the first one and have it as 0. And you can see that, and we'll see what it does here. Go forward to 14 here and end at 100. So what happens then is you see that it basically draws the path according between those two keyframes. It traces that path. So After Effects has calculated the motion along from one keyframe to the other, just like it did with the opacity. And what we can do also is I'll select the adjustment layer here and use the Uber key to open up those keyframes. And we can see here on the end here, I can right-click on the keyframe, go to Keyframe Assistant, and say Easy Ease. If you can see that. And what that will do is it'll kind of ease in and ease out. It won't be so sudden. It won't be a constant velocity when it gets to the end. So if we play that, it kind of slows down. I think it needed to do a little bit preview there, but let's see. Hard to see, but it actually slowed down a little bit by the time it got to the end. Before we continue, let's go back a little bit and see where, just before we introduce the path here, let's go ahead and fade out the text. 11.5. Let's fade out the text. So let's create a new keyframe here for each one of these, each one of the text layers. So we'll select all those. Right here, we will introduce Shelby opacity 100 right there, and let's fade them out 5 frames again. So from 11:15 to 11:20, we'll fade those out all to 0.